There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your co host, Gables. And wow, we're back. What was that other week off? We did not need that for sure, but I'm happy to be back. Two absolute beauties with me once again, Liam Picks Fights and Chance. Liam, how are we doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing quite well, Gordo. I'm excited about this fight card. Ended up with a lot more action than I normally would have, I would say, in terms of money line bets. I normally, pick a couple of fights that I feel like I have a good read on and target those, hit them from a prop perspective as well, that kind of thing. But, this week I just feel like there's a lot of unreliable favorites on the board. I took a lot of dog shots, and I think that, if you blind bet the underdogs this weekend, you might turn a profit. So, I'm going to pick certain dog shots. I'm not going with all of them or anything like that, but I do think that, there's a lot of good betting opportunities here. And, I beat a lot of line movement already. I'm curious to see if you guys line up with my picks or not, but I'm certainly excited to break this card down.
Hey, despite the lack of name value, there's some absolute bangers this week. I am so hyped for it. I think it's a great opportunity to get the betting going too. Like despite all the lack of names, there could be a lot of finishes, I think. I think there's a lot of underdogs who, like you said, have a lot of value. So I'm excited to see how it goes. And not only to hear from you, but Chance has been on absolute fire to start the year. Chance, how are we doing, my friend?
Dude, pretty good, man. Like Liam said, I think we got a really good card tomorrow. There should be some good fights. Not a ton of name value, but it should be an entertaining card for sure. So, I think it's pretty good betting wise too, to be honest with you. So, I'm ready to break it down.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm happy to have you guys. It's we were starting off 2022 strong, and next week on absolute banger in UFC 271 as well. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this card right here. First things first, though. What's up, Carter? How we doing, brother? Anybody here who's watching the show live, make sure that after you're done watching this, go check out the UFC DFS video I posted. And if you guys have any questions, let them know in the chat. We got three great minds, well, two and a half if you include myself, ready to break down, answer any questions you guys have. So feel free to let them know there. And if you're watching it later, make sure to check out that DFS video as well. All right, let's get her started. First fight in the card, a guy with a great name and a better country. Malcolm Gordon, 13-5. Dennis Bondar, 16-3. And let's get it out of the way. Malcolm Gordon's chin is non-existent. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say on my end. I got a couple plays on this one, but I want to hear from you guys first. Liam, how are you seeing this fight going down?
Yeah, man. So I did not get the best of the number here, which I'm a little embarrassed by. I should have known that the number is going to get a little bit wider on the Malcolm Gordon side, but admittedly, it hasn't gone crazy. It's not like he's, getting bet out like this is Jaltin Almeida or somebody from the Contender Series. This is, a relative unknown in Denise Bondar. He looks like a potent finisher. I would argue that he's fought a fairly low level of competition. He's had some concerning moments, I would say, where, he's just lost positions that seemed like he should have his way. He's given up his back in the early going to a 19-year-old guy. I forget his name. Let me produce that real quick. But I think that Bondar overall is getting a lot of credit here. He is a scary enough guy. I think that if he gets his hands on Malcolm Gordon, it could be a problem because Malcolm Gordon, like you mentioned, he does have a very concerning chin. But I also think he's fought a pretty high level of competition. He's got losses to the number 11 and 13 flyweights in the UFC. Kevin Jacques was the name of that guy, 7-1 at the time. I think he's 7-4 today. Hasn't won a fight since. And he was on this guy's back. He was looking for positions. I think he took him down. So I have questions about what happens if Malcolm Gordon gets on top of Bondar, because, potentially Bondar could work a little bit. But, I see a lot of people just writing off Malcolm Gordon's grappling as being terrible. And he's not the most positionally sound black belt that you could produce. That's for sure. But what I would argue is that he's pretty dangerous in his submission transitions. And I don't see why he couldn't catch this guy in a UFC debut. The guy's been inactive. This is his first time back at 125 in quite some time. So UFC debutants who haven't been active, who are coming back down to a weight class that they haven't been in a while at 70%, I'm going to fade that almost blind. And so Malcolm Gordon, yeah, he's not my favorite soldier to line up behind. But, the truth of the matter is that the guy has fought pretty stiff competition in the UFC and hasn't performed that well. But in the winnable fights that he had, he won. So I think that this is a winnable fight against a guy who's relatively unproven. So it's a prove it spot for me. I'm not going to back the favorite here at chalk. I think unders make sense. I think Bondar inside the distance, if you want to play him, that's the way to do it because Malcolm is liable to get finished in the spot. But I just think, I'm not going to be backing guys at 70% that haven't fought in the UFC, making their debut like that. It's not something that not something I want to do.
Well, I don't blame you. I see your spot, and I see where you're coming from. I'll say what's up to Narco. Narco's with you, man. Gordon sub. It's funny to see my name there. Anyways, plus 2,000. I think that's a very, very good line because, like you said, the way that Bondar loses fights is his transitional work isn't the best. And whereas I'm going to hate on Gordon's chin the whole time because we know it's not there, it's one thing that he does have a path to victory here. It's not like he can be completely written off. We did lose Chance here, so I'll just say what I got to go. Go ahead, Liam.
And the other thing I'm going to mention is I've heard a lot of talk about how Malcolm Gordon can't strike, and it's just like, that's not true. I've seen him drop. Like, it's not the highest level of competition, but Malcolm Gordon appears to have decent speed and power. So his striking fundamentals aren't great, but when he puts his hands on people's chin at flyweight, I've seen him hurt people as well. And that's what sets up some of his submission opportunities. So yeah, I think that Malcolm Gordon has a chance to win this fight by submission, or decision if he doesn't die. So it's just something that I'm willing to play a small shot on the dog here. So give me Malcolm Gordon.
Awesome. Well, I got a few opinions of my own, but let's see. Chance, is your audio any better here? The mystery man with no camera. You ready to talk this one?
Yeah. Dude, I think Gordon obviously sucks. I understand the dog shot on him. I get it. I get the angle. I just don't see him winning this fight, to be honest with you. He may look like value in round one. But I think it's probably one of those fights that, it may be a close fight, but Bondar, wins like a high percentage of the time in a close fight. So I was thinking about playing Bondar. The price sucks. I was looking at like ITD, something like that. On the Bondar side, just kind of fading Gordon's durability. But he's super green though too. His level of competition is pretty low. So, I don't know. It's kind of one of those fights where I agree with everything Liam said. But I still think you can make a case for Bondar and still agree with what Liam said. So it's tricky. The price just sucks.
Yeah, it's one of these ones where you see it happening so easy, but is it really going to be that easy? Sure, Gordon has really problems with his chin, the glass chin, but if he's able to survive and if he's able to like we said, take advantage of Bondar's deficiencies, especially on the transitions, he may be a bit live. Am I grasping at straws? Maybe a tiny bit. Liam?
The only other thing I'm just thinking about the fact that Malcolm Gordon, like, I don't know, in all these fights, he's shown a little bit of progression. Like the man understands that his chin is glass. What did he do in the Figueiredo fight? He gets right in the guy's face in the clinch and holds on to him desperately. So people knocked him. They're like, yeah, but he ends up getting taken down. I'm like, would you prefer he got knocked out? He puts himself in a position where he's not going to get finished, tries to work on the grappling. By the way, he ends round one on top, swept him, got on top, and was punching him in the head to end the round. It's like Malcolm Gordon had some method to his madness, guys, because then the dude is completely gassed from engaging in the grappling that Malcolm Gordon forced. And then Malcolm Gordon takes over. To me, that shows some IQ and progression. So, again, it's just like a vet-savvy type of play where he's got the UFC experience. So, he might die, but if he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies.
Dude, if I could add one thing, I would like to say I bet Malcolm Gordon against Figgy's little brother, Francisco. Dude. Francisco sucks though. Like I don't really rate that fight, because I faded him and I bet on Malcolm Gordon there, but I think Figgy's a really bad fighter to compare against. You know what I mean? If we're gonna try to make analogies or kind of compare styles here, Figgy is very, very bad.
Otherwise he's fought guys in TKO, but he got finished quickly in his other UFC fights. But otherwise, the guys he fought in TKO and whatever, they weren't that good, but he performed ably. The guy has a pretty nasty Kimura. He has a pretty damn good like triangle series. I don't think that his jiu-jitsu is complete trash like a lot of people think.
Right. I'm just saying, like, I've heard a lot of takes on Twitter this week that, like, comparing how Gordon looked against Little Figgy and then saying, like, okay, well, he'll do this here in this fight. I just don't think that's a fair comparison. What you're saying is fine. I'm speaking, like, overall what I've been hearing this week. I would be very careful comparing the two fighters. That's all I'm saying.
Fair. All right. Well, I love the breakdown for you guys. A good little 10-minute breakdown to get this show started. Seeing Narco say, how can we really rate what Bondar's facing? And I get that. And here's my take on this one is you have a fighter who has been finished in all his losses and a fighter who has finishes in all his wins, 100% finish rate. It's a very simple one for me. I'm on the under because the way that Bondar loses fights plays into Gordon's game, but the way that Bondar wins fight plays into his game as well. Whoa, I messed myself up there. What's going on? It's a bit too early on a Friday for me. This is one where, like I said, I'm on the under. It's one where I think it should be a lot higher price than it is. Minus 138, I think, is way too cheap for someone who's been finishing all his fights. And even at that, if Bondar is not UFC level and Gordon's able to execute his grappling on him, I think that's definitely a possibility. Bondar's been choked out before. We've seen that. However, I am going to pick Bondar to win. He's going to be a very core DraftKings play of mine for that reason. No bet on him directly, just because I'm going to have so much in him, and I don't want to trust someone who's shown deficiencies in his game as much as him. For that reason, like I said, another time, I'm on the under pretty big. It's my biggest play of the week. It's one of my favorites, especially at minus 138. I think that was on Betway earlier today. I'm going to keep it as simple as that. I think it's either Bondar knocks him out. It's a very, very, probably most likely opportunity. And then if Gordon's better than we expect and Bondar's a bit worse than we expect, that sub might be there as well. All right, let's get her going. Next fight up on the card, Jason Witt, Phillip Rowe. And if we're talking about glass chins, Jason Witt has hurt me in the past, so I'll never forgive him for that. But he's coming off one of my favorite fights to watch back. One of those ones where you just show it to people if you want to watch an entertaining fight. Barberena versus Witt was a great one to watch, in my opinion. It was just so funny, just so messy. And he's coming in here facing a guy, Phillip Rowe. Before I pass it over to you, Chance, I got to mention 10.5 reach advantage for Mr. Phillip Rowe. And it's going to be an absolute banger as well. For some reason, I'm more looking forward to this fight than a lot of others on this card. I think it's going to be super, super fun. And I'm hoping for a finish here. Chance, what do you got in this one?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be fun at all, to be honest with you. I think Witt's just going to take him down repeatedly. It's going to be pretty boring. Rowe's takedown defense, I'm not a fan of at all. His first level is not very good. He doesn't do a good job of keeping, his opponents on the outside of his jab, like you'd like to see him do here. Because Witt at range is pretty bad too. He'll sit on the range where he can't even reach his opponents, and now he's facing someone with a 10-inch reach advantage, which is like alarming, I guess, in a sense. But I trust Witt to kind of shoot takedowns here, get the fight to the mat, and right out top position. I really think it's going to be pretty easy for him. When I was handicapping this fight after watching tape, I genuinely favored him. Like I would set it like minus 150, minus 200 range, and I got in at plus 135. I know this probably sounds crazy, but I just don't think Rowe's the type of guy that's going to sit on his punches. And I get Witt's been dropped by a jab and stuff like that. Like I understand it's not a good look. But I just think the fight is going to be at range for such limited time. Like I'm not really super concerned about it. Rowe is not good. If you're betting Rowe here, at least you have to acknowledge that Rowe is not a good fighter. And I would honestly argue he's probably not UFC level. So yeah, he doesn't really do a whole lot I like. Witt coming in under the Krause camp should have a good game plan for him. And it should be pretty simple to do so. Like I said, just shoot takedowns relentlessly. And just try not to let your chin hit the floor. It's pretty simple. Rowe's not a hard hitter. If he hit hard and really sat on his punches a little bit and had some sort of takedown defense, maybe I would like him a bit more. But, yeah, I think plus 135 is a wild price, to be honest with you, and I hit it pretty big. So.
Fair. Well, I'm happy to hear that because I jumped on that exact same line. I'm on Witt here, plus 135. I'll go into it a bit more here. I just think that Rowe's too comfortable off his back, and despite this 10-inch reach advantage, he's not going to do enough with it. I think that it's either going to be a finish early from Rowe just because, or depends if Witt can't get him out there. But it's a striker versus grappler match, in my opinion. I think if it stays on the feet too long, I know you said Rowe has no power. Sometimes doesn't take power against a guy like Jason Witt. So I think that if he's able to engage in those clinch battles, he's able to win those minutes. And for that reason, I have a straight bet on Witt, but I'm also on the under here, 2 unders in a row. It's one of these ones where it seems very binary, but it seems very simple. Jason Witt, again, no chin, has been knocked out in the first, 30 seconds of both of his losses. And even at that, if I'm going to give Phillip Rowe any credit, is maybe he does get started a bit slowly, but he gets there. And Jason Witt doesn't always have the best cardio. I've seen him slow down a lot. So if Rowe is able to survive a bit, and every round starts in the feet, right? All he's going to do is keep him at range and find that chin. I am going to favor Witt here, but I would not be surprised if Rowe knocked him out. Liam, what do you got in this one?
Yeah, I think, I think Chance kind of hit the nail on the head with a few of his points there, which is just that Phil Rowe, I've watched a bunch of his grappling matches. I've watched his fights, and a lot of times he just concedes the bottom position for long stretches. And I don't even think it's through like any, lack of effort, really. It's just like, I don't know if he's very competent at getting up from the bottom. There's different sets of skills within jiu-jitsu, and some people like to play guard, and I think he likes to play guard. I think he likes to be on his back. I think he likes to try and offer some sweeps and some movements from there, but it's kind of hard to buck somebody with good wrestling pressure. And Jason Witt, say what you will about his build and his height and everything else, he becomes very heavy when he's sitting on you. And I just think that he's going to be able to sit on this guy in the half guard. If he gets him down, I think he's going to be able to get him down pretty early and often. I don't think Kosi is like half the wrestler that Jason Witt is, and he was having a lot of success taking him down as well. He just completely death gassed. Even in like higher paced fights like the Barberena War, Witt had better gas, I think, than what we saw from Kosi in any fight ever. So I don't know that that's the best analog. I do think that Phil Rowe on the feet, he could probably win this by landing that clean shot, obviously. But I also don't think that Witt is like fish out of water completely on the feet. He's obviously a little more stiff and uncomfortable. He obviously can be knocked out with one shot. But when he kicks the legs, Phil Rowe's a guy who stands in a really wide stance. He gets a little bit out of position. He leaps in with like a big shot with one foot, in front of his left shoulder, the other one all the way behind him. So if he gets kicked, he falls over or loses balance. And that's another way that Witt gets on top of him, right? It's just one properly landed leg kick. The guy's off balance, and now Witt is on top of him. And we already acknowledged that it's not likely that this guy is going to be able to do continuous get up. So, if we see an improvement from Rowe in the aspects like chin and cardio and things, because Rowe also has deficits in cardio and he also has deficits in chin. The difference is he's probably going to be underneath. So I just think that at the plus 140 tag, which is what I played it, I think that that's just like, a pretty obvious spot on Witt. That being said, as the line gets closer and closer now, he's like plus 110 and whatever, I think we're getting closer to a fair justification. I think either guy could win the fight, but I think if anybody's going to be like a slight favorite here, I would argue it should be Jason Witt, because he's likely to spend the fight in top position.
Dude, if I could add one thing here, I'm so sorry. I'll try not to do this as much this podcast.
No worries.
But if I could add one thing, I think I genuinely think this. I think Phil Rowe at like minus 140 or anything higher than that, I think it's probably the worst bet of the weekend, to be honest with you. I think if you're betting Phil Rowe, it's largely predicated on a knockout, and not taking knockout here doesn't make any sense because everyone betting Phil Rowe is saying, okay, well, Witt has no chin, Rowe will knock him out. You're not really banking on him to win minutes because I feel like most of the minutes will be won by Witt. Whether it's against the cage or on the mat. So if you're betting Phil Rowe, I don't know what you're doing. Bet him by knockout and just like walk away. Like it's that easy.
Yeah, I think that also you can look at inside the distance as well. I know everyone's predicated on that knockout, but like a sub from like I don't think Rowe's grappling is horrendous. I think it's okay in terms of wrestling. I don't think it's there, but he has a what does he have? Brown belt. I think he's able to do something. I just wouldn't pay that minimal difference there.
Fair play.
All right. Well, we're gonna fly through these. We got a bunch to go through. Next one up, Danilo Marcos. Jailton Almeida, and this seems like a trend for the first three, but maybe that's why I like this card so much. This is another fight where I'm hoping for a finish. You got one guy, Marquez, who's looks to be really uncomfortable on the feet, a guy who's got a pretty good grappling credentials and who out there and held on to Kennedy Nzechukwu's back for 10 minutes before he gassed out in the third round. This is a fight where we're seeing a brand new Dana White Contender Series guy in Jailton Almeida, someone who really impressed a lot of people on there, and I think they impressed him too much. Yes, I get the lines wide. Liam's going to tell you all about it, but I do think that Almeida wins this fight, and on DraftKings, he will be a core play of mine. Liam, tell us why the line's wide.
It's wide for a number of reasons, but number one, this is a guy where there's no footage available, right? You can't find fights from the guy. I bet this guy on Contender Series, so I understand the upside. I understand the merits behind him. Yes, he's got the sneaky grappling, of course, that played out in the fight with the Russian, but also, baked into that bet on the Contender Series was the fact that I thought that Russian guy, there was a decent chance he was a fraud. Because his record was like undefeated, whatever. And then you look at his amateur results, they coincide with his professional results, and he lost in 2018. So it's like, okay, the guy is not undefeated. He lost somewhat recently. There was grappling involved in that as well. So it's like, maybe he's one of the Russians that doesn't wrestle all the time. They do exist. And so I think that, now we're saying it is a certainty, basically mathematically, barring a slip on the banana peel, this guy, Jailton Almeida, is going to come out here and he's going to fucking submit this guy in the first round. And Danilo Marquez is not bad at jiu-jitsu, and he's been in the game for a while. And I think that he has been criminally underrated in the UFC. Like, he was available at plus 200, I believe, at close against Mike Rodriguez. That's a horrific pricing by the market. I believe that he was a slight favorite against Khadisi Bragimov. I'd have to look back at that. But either way, it's not like he was minus 500 or something. So I don't think that there's a lot of credit given to the work he's done in the octagon. The other thing is Kennedy Nzechukwu, everybody shits on that loss. But it's Kennedy Nzechukwu is 3-2 in the UFC with a win over Paul Craig. Maybe the guy's good at anti-grappling. Maybe the guy's good at lasting with the cardio. He was a huge underdog to Alberg as well and sent him to the shadowy realms of hell. So I think that, this is a guy who is just basically evens with Kennedy Nzechukwu, and now we're pricing him as having a 20% chance of winning the fight against somebody that, 6 months ago, nobody's ever heard of, with all due respect. So I don't understand this line at all. I think that Danilo Marquez at plus 370 is pretty absurd, and I'm probably going to add a small bit to a play I made earlier in the week because the sharp books were already taking resistance money when Danilo Marquez was hitting plus 325, plus 330. And now on some of the domestics, it's getting up to plus 370. I mean, God bless. Good luck, everybody. It's I understand that your eyes are telling you one thing, but our eyes can be very deceiving in this business. And I think that if somebody goes from being a 35% on the Contender Series to an 80% indication in their UFC debut, something went wrong because he didn't beat somebody that good. And I'm not sure what changed about him. Yes, he looks like he's on a very good supply of supplements, but I think Danilo Marquez, as the taller man, is going to offer him some threats in the clinch here. I think his striking and cardio woes are a little bit overstated. It's possible he gets knocked out here. That's the best play on Almeida, as Random is saying in the chat. So, yeah, credit there. I think Almeida KO is decent. I think Almeida inside the distance is his path here, but I wouldn't be stunned if Danilo submitted this guy. I would not be I would not be surprised if Danilo won a decision here. He beat Khadisi Bragimov by taking him down, getting on top. I don't know that he's going to get on top of Jailton, but I know that Jailton made mistakes against that Russian guy and fell over the top, and the Russian guy opted not to play in his guard. I know that Danilo Marquez will not make that same mistake. So I'll take the 2-1 guy in the UFC against the UFC newcomer at plus 370 almost every time.
Well, to answer your question, my friend, he closed at plus 175 against Khadis Ibrahimov, according to Best Fight Odds. Chance, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm going to be on the not the over. I'm probably going to be on the fight starts round 2. It's at minus 150, so I feel pretty confidently that this fight makes it out of the first round. I kind of think both guys, where they both excel, They kind of negate each other a bit, both in the grappling realm. Almeida by KO is honestly a decent look too, I think, plus 275. I think he'll have the edge on the feet here. The price just kind of sucks, though, to be real. But yeah, I think over 1.5. Like I said, I think they're both pretty decent grappling wise. I think Almeida is actually pretty good, though. I'm not Hal Marquez, but this price is way too wide for all the points Liam just made. So I would look over, honestly. Over 1.5. Fight starts round 2. Fight goes, maybe. Something like that. Maybe Marquez by decision. Because like you said, we've seen Almeida lose position a few times, kind of being a little too opportunistic. And I can see Marquez just kind of riding out top time, just staying safe on top. It could get close, but like I said, the price is going to be crazy on that, so maybe worth a stab.
Fair. And all right, I'll give that to you guys. I do think the price is wide. I agree. But when it comes to playing someone who I think is going to win, especially on a week like this on DraftKings where there's so many live dogs, there's so many underdogs who you think can score very, very well, you have the salary to roster a guy $9,400. And I apologize to all you sports bettor because I am a DraftKings player at heart too. But the way I look at this one is Jailton Almeida really has a lot of advantages in this. And I know we haven't seen tape, and for that reason, yes, the line is wide. But if we look at a path to victory for Marquez, he's not going to knock out he's not going to knock out Jailton. His striking is very, very bad in my opinion. His cardio, we've seen lapse, especially in the past. And Jailton's admitted that. He's done interviews where he says that his striking is going to be the path to victory here. The problem I have betting Almeida is we haven't seen his grappling that well. We look at his record. Yeah, it looks good on paper, but anything could look good on paper, right? So did that Russian guy he fought. He looked good on paper, right? But it's not always the case. If I am going to trust that grappling, however, though, I see almost no path for Marquez here. Marquez is a guy who's in his wins where he's, especially in his 2 UFC wins, he's relied a lot on that physicality, that wrestling, and that grappling to win that case here. He's the older fighter, and I think that Jailton used to be too physically strong for him to be held down the way that Ibrahimov was. When it comes to on the feet, I'm going to give it to Almeida all day. When it comes to cardio going the later rounds, like Chance says, starting round 2, I give that to Almeida as well. So then it comes down to, is Almeida dumb enough to play down there with Marquez? Is he able to hold his own there? Is he really just not as good as people think he is and going to get rolled on the ground? For that reason, I think it's Almeida's fight here. Like I said, I'm a DraftKings player, right? So I think that a KO is probably the most likely outcome in my opinion, just because I think that he's got too much physicality, too much strength to let Marquez take him down there and engage in a grappling affair. And we all know that Marquez shells up. He doesn't like to be hit, and he's just not as good a striker in my opinion. For that reason, not only am I on Almeida here, especially on DraftKings, but I'm also on the under again. 3 for 3. Let's do it. It's one where I think that Marquez's biggest path to victory is that ground game. And even at that, I don't even give him the opportunity to sub him. The only reason I'm going to let him have that path is because that's what he excels at. That's how Marquez wins, is he's a ground fighter, in my opinion. So it's one where I think Almeida has a lot of advantages, but I don't have enough tape to back it up and go out there and lay 5 units, 6 units. Well, I don't even use 6 units, but on a 1 to 5 scale, I'm not betting anything above 3, 4, 5 just because I don't have enough on him to go for. For that reason, I'm going to have a lot of it on DraftKings. I respect your shot, Liam, especially at that big wide number, but it's one where I got to take him as a better fighter, and I think it's Almeida in this case. Let's see here. Most juiced guy on the roster. Yeah, he's a pretty big boy. Like Liam said, he's got some good supplements there. But this is exactly what I like here. This is what I like to see. And you look on paper, and that's definitely the case. But we do have to give the experience edge to Marquez. And I think that if you think Almeida is the better BJJ, then that eliminates all path to victory for Marquez. I don't think he's going to be able to keep him down there, that physicality and strength. I think Almeida's got a decent ability to stand up and keep on the feet in this fight here too. And if he's able to beat him on the ground, even better. All right, let's move on to the next fight here. We have Alexis Davis. Ooh, a couple Canadians I'm winning in a row. Alexis Davis, 10-11. Julia Stolarenko, 9-5-1. And I'm going to let Chance tick this one off, and we all know why. Chance, tell him why you're a big fan of Davis this week.
Because she's better everywhere. This is going to be some crazy breakdown. Alexis Davis is better everywhere this fight goes. She's better on the feet. She's fought tougher comp. She's a vet, but we haven't seen her fall off the cliff yet. Obviously, this could be the fight, but I also don't think this is the opponent to kind of push her off the cliff, if that makes sense. I don't think she's facing someone who's super dangerous, barring like a arm bar from guard or, some like banana peel slip, as Liam likes to say. I just don't see it. I've seen some people taking Stoliarenko, and I genuinely don't understand. Like, I don't understand it at all. I think this is one of those fights where I looked at it and said, I genuinely think it's more likely Alexis Davis looks minus 500 than it is Julia Stoliarenko looks minus 120. I'm not even kidding. I think she's better everywhere. You could parlay her, you could play her straight. I honestly think ITDs is live. I think she could take Stoliarenko down and get some top time here and maybe find a finish that way. But I think by decision's obviously the most likely. But yeah, I mean, she's just better everywhere. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about this forever. Like, Stoliarenko fucking sucks. Like, I don't know what else to say. She probably doesn't even belong in the UFC. Yeah, Davis is just better everywhere. She throws output, has good volume. Her wrestling's better. She has decent BJJ. I don't expect her to get guard subbed. So she should be safe here. I don't really see how she loses, to be real.
Fair, man. If there's one thing I got to give you credit for, Chance, is you're a stubborn guy. Hey, you love being right, and I'm happy you got a strong opinion on this one because I see it too. I think this is Davis's fight here to lose. I will agree that I think Julia's, or I'm going to call her Stoliarenko because I think I'm saying that wrong, but I think Stoliarenko's got some wrestling deficiencies. I think she's also got some really uncomfortable striking, but what I will give her is she looks like being improving in her past couple fights. If you look at her fights from the regional scene or anywhere near that, you'd think that Alexis could kill her here, but she is looking to be putting in a decent bit of work. I don't know. I still think that this is Davis's fight to lose, but I'll let Liam take this one over. Liam, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. So when I look at this fight, my initial thoughts were Davis is going to roll here. I still think that largely, but I do have some concerns, right? Which is just I rewatched the Avila Stoliarenko fight, and Stoliarenko, she's terrible in terms of her technique at times, but she actually hits pretty hard, especially by women's MMA standards. I thought there was a couple times she like stunned Julia, and Julia's a pretty durable girl, so that was a little bit concerning to me. In a fight here with Alexis, where Alexis doesn't have great defense. I do think that she is likely to land the better, cleaner shots. She's more likely to throw and land in combination. And there's a lot of things that bode well for her here. I think she's more likely to extend a combination even after getting hit. But when you start getting to that 37, 38-year-old territory, the chance to get knocked out, it does increase a little bit. And that's what has me just a tiny bit nervous. Because I think that would make the knockout or the club and sub live on the Stoliarenko side. I do think Davis is live here to win minutes. But I just have concern that power optics could sway this fight a little bit. Also, the older, more experienced fighter probably has a little bit more scar tissue, more likely to bleed around the eyes. And it cost Jessica I thought, against Jennifer Maia. These are the kind of things I think about when trying to look for where's that potential favorite banana peel, because I don't like to lay the chalk unless I'm pretty damn confident. And this is one of the favorites that I like this week, but I ended up laying 1.38 units on her on the decision line. So I just played her by decision at plus 105. I think a lot of Alexis's win condition here is the decision. I don't discount what Chance said about the finish being live, but I think if she's smart here, she's not going to engage in the grappling and create an opportunity for that WMMA armbar from guard. If anything, I'd like to see her go takedown right into pass if she goes for any takedown. So, the dreaded WMMA head and arm throw and things like that, I actually think it would be wise so she doesn't end up in the guard of Stoliarenko. I think that she can control position from on top.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. No matter how I said there that she's improving her skills, I think the major win condition here for is Stoliarenko usually in those fights are subs. They're arm bars like she has all the time. And where she's really good at that, Davis is a black belt. She knows what she's doing. I don't think she's going to let herself be put in any of those situations. We have to remember that Alexis is a vet. She's got a knockout win over Amanda Nunes. That doesn't really mean much in this day and age. She's fought a lot better level of competition, and I still think this is a step down. Could Stoliarenko be making improvements every single day and become this world-class striker and grappler? Well, who knows? I don't expect that to happen here, though. That's the problem. Alexis Davis is very good fundamentally. I think she wins minutes. I think she's got the ability to stay out of any troubles on the ground, and I think that when it comes to finishing ability, I think that she puts out more volume and is pretty dangerous from up top. She went out there last time she had a step down a competition. She put on a vet lesson, right? So I'm thinking that this is kind of one of those situations again. I'm not going to discredit Stoliarenko because, again, I've said it a couple of times, she is making improvements, but I think this is Davis's fight to lose. To be completely honest, a play that probably you guys are both going to hate, but maybe I don't know if I'm going to track this one, but I do have some money on a Almeida Davis parlay. I think those are two safer plays in my books. I know you guys aren't parlay guys or stuff, but this is one I just had to back my mind. It was the first thing I did when I saw tape was I saw two fighters I thought had a very clear indication of winning, and I think they both get it done. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but I do think that Davis does get it done this week, and it's her fight to lose. So hopefully no, like you said, banana peel slips, even though a few fights could have that already. But no, I think that Alexis Davis gets it done. All right, moving right along. Another Canadian on board, Marc-Andre Barriault, 13-4 versus Chidi Njokuani, 20-7. And now I got a few opinions on this one, but I'm gonna let Chance open this one up. What are your thoughts on this one?
Dude, I gotta be real. I really did not want to open this one up because I have very few thoughts. Barriault, I mean, he's durable, has good gas. It's kind of two things. When I think about him, that's what I think about. Chitty, he's okay. I just don't love him. I really think this fight's gonna be pretty boring. I think it's gonna take place in the clinch, and I think it's gonna be really close down the stretch. To be honest, I don't see a finish really coming from either side. And I'm just not high on either fighter. The way I bet, I would like to more so invest in these fighters in the long term. Not just bet on a fighter just to win one individual fight. I would just like to do it very rarely. And I'm not high on these guys at all. I think Barriault late props are live, maybe round 3, something like that, if you want to take a poke. But I don't know. This fight's just weird. I really have no feel about it. And I think that's one of the important things about betting here. You got to know when you don't know, and I don't know, to be honest.
Fair. Respect to you for admitting it. Liam, what are your thoughts on this one?
Not too unlike my man Chance here. I really I have a harder time getting a read on the outcome of this fight. I went on Die Hard MMA this week, and I picked Chidi Njokuani, and I do think that he's got some upside here. When I rewatched his tape, I don't think he's a bad fighter, and I think that he's pretty well schooled in terms of he's been around the world, he's been fighting high level guys, he's been learning, he's been improving. Recently got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, that has some skepticism around it. But I do think that he's worked on his ground game. He's shown some improvements in the clinch as well, which is the area I think a lot of people think he's going to get exploited here. So, I think that overall he's pretty dangerous in certain spurts, but he's really not like a one-hitter quitter kind of guy. He could just hurt you. He's not got the best finishing instincts, in my opinion. So I really could see this fight playing out either way. I think a lot of it will depend on who gets on top, if there are exchanges of grappling, because I don't think Chidi is out of the race to get on top there. He's kind of got leverage. He's a little bit taller. I've seen him trip guys to their back before, so I don't think he's horrible in the clinch. But I do think that the pace offered by Barriault could cause problems down the stretch. It would hurt my feelings if I had the Chidi ticket and then he got finished in the 3rd round of a fight that he was winning, which is another result I could see happening here. So, I think round 3 or decision for the fight to end makes sense. I think playing either guy that way makes sense. And I think that, if you got the early numbers on Chidi, I definitely understand that. Now you basically have a choice. If you have a passionate take on this fight, you could back either guy on the money line. It's like a pick 'em, but I don't really feel strongly either way. I don't think there's value much to be had on the line. I think it is close to a pick 'em fight. Hard to evaluate somebody like Chidi, who has a lot of experience, but not in the UFC. And MAB has kind of been up and down in the UFC. I don't think people should get too high on their own supply with this guy. He has dropped a lot of winnable fights in the UFC as well by decision. So I don't think that's out of the running. But in his recent form, he's looked a lot better. He's looked a lot more intentional with his game plans, getting after people, staying on them with volume, using his pace as a weapon. So I think that if he fights a smart fight here, he could look, hindsight like value. But I also think, Chitty is not just like a contender series fade for me. He's like a guy who deserves respect. He's a good fighter.
All right, I like the breakdown. And all right, my turn. Let's get this over to the hockey jersey. Let's get the shades on. This is one where I think that Marc-Andre Barriault is the most hockey-style fighter in the UFC, right? He's got that. He just sits there in the clinch. He's got volume for days. He calls himself the power bar. He's got stamina. I like him as a fighter. And that's the problem I have is I have bias in this fight. So I saw him minus 160, and I'm like, no, I don't want any part of it. But we're sitting here to pick him. And this is one where I needed your help. You gonna push me over the ledge and bet it, or are you gonna help me down? And that's the one where I'm looking at. If you look at all the stats here, he's got volume, he's got pace, he's got pressure, he's got durability, and I think that a lot of times when he loses these fights is because he's being taken down. How many times do I see Chidi taking him down here? I don't see him taking him down that much. Can Chidi keep his own in the clinch? Probably, but is he able to keep that pace for all 3 rounds? I don't know. I'm liking the dirty boxing. I'm liking the exchanges. I like him to win minutes here. I have nothing locked in, but I probably will. Especially, I think I saw MMA Lock of the Night have minus 105 on him. I got to look to see where that is because I don't know where it is up here up north because I know it's on BetMGM, but I don't got that up here. It's a tough one for me, and I like Marc-Andre Barriault here. I hope he does well for me, but I don't know if I can get there yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll have a few drinks tonight and I'll bet it. Who knows? I do like him to win it here with that pace, that volume, that pressure, sneaky DraftKings play. But all in all, my original read was a pass on this fight. And with that, the glasses are off. All right, next fight, moving right along. We have a few left here. Let's get her going. Miles Johns, 12-1. John Castaneda, 18-5. The sexy Mexi's back again. How do we feel on this one, Liam? We'll start it off with you.
I like the underdog, man. I like John Castaneda here. I don't like Miles Johns' game. I never have. I think that a lot of it relies on rest positions. He likes to press people into the fence. He likes to get on top of them. Otherwise, he's had pretty soft bookings thus far in the UFC. Mario Bautista, who knocked him out, then got knocked out in his subsequent fight against Trevin Jones, hasn't been seen since. I think he's back in March. But otherwise he knocked out Kevin Natividad, not a very high-level fighter. Also held his glove, just completely cheated to get that knockout, which I've been making hay about for a while now. Pissed me off. Anderson Dos Santos, that guy is not a very great fighter, but he is like a seasoned journeyman. I thought he had a chance to beat Miles Johns because I don't rate Miles Johns. So I played him as a dog, I think plus 155 last time. And then like 4 leg kicks into the fight, his knee was blown out. So not ideal for a bet. But what I think is that it's surprising to me that Castaneda is a bigger underdog here than Anderson Dos Santos. You know what? Because he knocked the guy out, 7.5 minutes after the guy's leg was completely incapacitated and he was fighting out of his awkward stance, his wrong stance. I think that Castaneda is a lot more clever. He's a lot more tricky. He actually switches in and out of stances, and he presents mostly that southpaw look. So I think he's going to cause problems for Miles Johns in that facet of the fight. I also think that he's not a slouch in the wrestling department. I think that he's going to be actively working to get back up to his feet if he does get taken down. I don't think he's going to concede positions. And I also think that in the grappling portions of the fight, he might be able to offer some threats. I don't know that Miles Johns is reliable to wrestle in his fights. He's been throwing a lot of hands lately and not getting to his takedowns when he attempts them in his recent bouts. And again, not the highest level of competition. So I think that this is a perfect time to fade, Miles Johns. Granted, I got in at a better number. I was in at plus 195. I think I tipped that I was interested in it on Clinch Show at plus 200, and then the line was already gone. So wanted to get it before it crashed hard. It's at plus 170 or so now, plus 160 in a lot of places. I think plus 170 is still probably a playable number. If you like Castaneda here, I think he's got a chance to win a decision. I think he could knock him out. And I think that there's an outside chance he could submit him. So I think he's dangerous in all aspects of the fight, and I like him for a bet.
Perfect. Chance, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I agree with I really agree with everything Liam just said. I'm not gonna just repeat everything he said. Yeah, I like Castaneda too. I think a good bet here is probably Castaneda by decision. Johns is pretty durable, I think. I think he'll stay safe, like submission wise. Yeah, Castaneda is tricky, man, on the feet for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to play Castaneda by decision plus 350. And I also, BetMGM has plus 200 on Castaneda still. And that, if you have access to that book, I think that is 100% a good bet.
I think that that's inaccurate, bro. I think that Best Fight Odds has been slipping a little bit on updating their BetMGM odds, because I saw Mike Trezano was listed at plus 165, and I did bet that when it was at plus 165. I went to hit it again, and it was gone. So I think that Best Fight Odds is a little bit behind on some of those. Let me check here. Plus 170. Yep.
Are they slacking?
Okay, yeah. I think plus 170 is fine. I would have liked it a lot more at plus 200, but I think at plus 170, I'd probably look more towards the decision line. I think the overs are a good look. They're all juiced pretty bad, but I don't really see a finish being super live here. But I think Castaneda, Jesus, should outland him here at distance. To be real, I think he's the side.
I think that Castaneda, the other thing is just that he pushes the pace. And I think that might bother somebody like John. So I would say just round 3 or decision might cover your ass in the case that he gets him out of there. And I would not put it past him late in the fight to find that finish. If you saw his Marcelo Rojo fight on the regionals, I know Marcelo's been finished in round 3 before, but I do think that it was in part just that relentless pressure that he put on him that was able to get him out of there.
Fair. This is one for me where I see what you guys are saying. I completely respect the shot on the dog. I think this is one where Miles Johnson's a guy who doesn't fight to the best of his abilities. I think that he has a very good skill set, but he's fallen in love with his hands, and I think that if he does that in this fight, he loses. The problem I have here is he's not going to probably finish Castaneda. Castaneda's pretty tough on the feet and pretty good in the ground in his own right, so it's one that goes to decision. And when you have a fight that goes to decision like this, that's a really high floor for someone on DraftKings. Castaneda is a really safe play, and I'm going to have a lot of him in a lot of my cash lineups. If anyone in here is doing my Ironman with me, Liam, sorry, I'm going to have some Castaneda. But with all that ownership I'm going to have, bye-bye, Chance. This is one where I don't know how much I want to play it. I missed my big shot on it, and for that reason, I'm going to pass. Castaneda on DraftKings, other than that, good luck. I'm cheering for him for you, but it's not what I'm definitely playing myself.
Cheers, brother. That makes sense.
All right, let's move it right along. We got a few left here, so let's keep firing through these. Julian Erosa, 26-9. Steven Peterson, 19-9. Hopefully Chance is back, because I know he's got some strong opinions on this one. And we talked about this fight on the Twitter space I did with Tajik last night for way too long. This is a fight that I'm excited to hear your side, because I'm sick of talking of it. Wow, what are your thoughts of it?
Oh my, this is a fight where I think it's a pretty clear dogger pass, and I know that there's smart people I respect on the other side of this one. So, I say that with some humility, but I look at this fight and I see a guy who has been knocked down in 4 of his 5 most recent UFC bouts. I see a guy who, despite the fact that he finished Sean Woodson, got dropped like 10 seconds beforehand. And if Sean Woodson wasn't completely death gas, probably would have gotten finished in that fight to a guy who I don't rate as a top performer in Sean Woodson. So I think that, broadly speaking, Steven Peterson has put together a pretty solid UFC resume. The knockout of Martin Bravo was impressive. He was at a striking deficit there, but he was landing the right hand consistently. It was rocking Martin Bravo's head back. Martin Bravo wasn't respecting his power, and he got knocked out for his troubles. And not knocked out like pitter-patter, he got knocked out cold by a spinning back fist. So I think that, the rumors of Steven Peterson having no power are a little bit exaggerated. And I think on top of that, the guy has some positional skills as well. Everybody's shitting on Chase Hooper, but the thing he's supposed to be good at is jiu-jitsu, and he got out-grappled by Steven Peterson. So I know that people were like, what low fight IQ? Why would you engage with Chase Hooper there? And maybe to prove a point that he's better at grappling than this young man, and he out-grappled him. So I don't know. I thought that, maybe it's a pride thing, but if he gets into a pride ego battle with Julian Erosa, I like my chances. Even if he dies, I still like that I have plus 950 on any guy in the UFC to knock out Julian Erosa. That kind of number doesn't really exist on TKO props against this guy. Most of the time it's plus 300, plus 400 or below on anybody that Julian Erosa fights to knock him out. And Steven Peterson now is plus 950 to win by knockout. I think that that's crazy. So I'm on Peterson knockout. I'm on Peterson money line plus 260 and plus 275.
All right, Chance. I know you're pretty passionate about this one. Let us hear it.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay right now?
Yep, you're good.
All right. Yeah, I think Erosa is gonna win. This money line price is just disgusting. He's super fragile. He does come forward. He does push a pace. And he's honestly fun to watch fight. Going back and watching tape on him, it actually was kind of a good time. For someone who's not super high level, Peterson does have that puncher's chance, I think, here. I think the knockout could be live, but I really don't think it's because Peterson is some KO artist. I think it's more so predicated on the fact that Erosa is just kind of chinny, which is not something I'm looking to bet on. I think it's a pretty low percentage outcome, to be honest. But I would not parlay Erosa either. It's kind of one of those fights where I kind of think neither side is a great bet. Like pre-fight, Liam, I was having some technical difficulties. I'm sure he made a great point for Peterson and Peterson KO, but I couldn't hear him. But I understand that angle. I don't know. I just think Juicy J could push the pace. I really honestly think he could probably land takedowns here if he wanted to. He should be able to do whatever he wants until he dies. So yeah, I mean, KO is going to be live. But the thing is, when you bet Peterson KO, that's going to be live until the very end of the fight because, like I said, Erosa can just crumble at any given moment. His chin could just hit the floor and turn to sand. So, not a bad bet, possibly, but I don't know. I just think either side is just kind of wishful thinking. I will say, I think if you parlay Erosa this weekend, you're an instant block on Twitter. That is just a wild thing to do. Never parlay Julian Erosa ever, regardless. Just do not do it. If you bet him straight, I will have some sort of respect for you. At least you have some balls, but do not parlay Julian Erosa. That's my take.
All right, sounds good. So I won't post my parlay ticket with Erosa in it then, eh? No, I'm just kidding. I got none of that sort. This is one where I like all the points you guys mentioned. I am completely honest with you guys. Erosa's on the do not bet list. I do not want any part in this fight. I say that though, and I kind of do. I can't bring myself to bet on this either side. The problem I have with it is Erosa's so hittable. I think that when it comes to minutes, Pearson has the brains and the abilities to win some here. I know Liam mentioned his knockout power and Chance it a bit as well, and I don't see it as much. I know Erosa can be knocked out at any time. His chin's questionable, but I don't know if I can put money on Peterson to knock him out here. I might be a different side of Liam. I think that Peterson's alive to win a decision here, just because he wins optically a lot more than Erosa. Erosa loses optically. Let's just say that too. However, that being said, I don't want that ticket either, just because I know any moment Erosa can crumble. For some reason, I just get in these weird images that Peterson's a smarter fighter. He's able to win minutes and win optically, and that's my thought on it. Am I gonna have any money on it? Tracked? No, maybe some for fun, but I can't bet this one in good conscience.
At plus 275 against, dude, you're getting a UFC featherweight, a credentialed UFC featherweight at plus 275 against Julian Erosa. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't think we do it. I told myself I won't. This is called control. This is called making sure I'm smart with my money. All right, let's move it along before I do anything stupid here. Brian battled Tresean Gore. Brian battled 6-1. Tresean Gore 3-0, and they were on The Ultimate Fighter. And just as we're filming this or recording this or live with this, Nunes versus Pena confirmed Ultimate Fighter season 31. They're going to be head coaches against each other. I don't know if you guys watch Ultimate Fighter. I do. Is that really appealing? Somewhat. but not as much as other matchups I would have liked to see. Anyways, back to this fight. Battle versus Gore. They're supposed to fight as a championship. Gore got injured, and now we're back. And Gore is an even bigger favorite than he was before, I'm pretty sure. Brian Battle impressed. Brian Battle's improving every single fight, and I respect him for that. My original read when I taped this one was Tresean Gore, though, and that is my take on this one. I will explain a little bit more after. I'll just let Chance start this one off, man. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So I, early on when I looked at this a couple of weeks ago, I kind of like Gore. Pre-tape and everything, I was like, Gore minus 130 seems kind of like a gift. I've actually flip-flopped on this fight in a pretty significant way. I think Battle's the side, and I think he's the side like for sure. To be honest, I maybe Gore KO is possibly live, but I think Battle's gonna win minutes here on the feet and at range. The kicks should be there for Gore. But Battle is just so tough. I think he'll force the clinch, possibly, maybe take the back. Battle just seems to get beat up. I don't think KO is as live due to, Battle's durability. But if you're on the Gore side, you got to think it's going to be live, maybe from the leg kicks, possibly putting Battle to the floor, putting Gore in top position, and just maybe pounding Battle out is live. But I don't know, man. I really think Battle is just like, he's super tough, super durable. The price is not what I would like it to be. I'm thinking about maybe taking a stab Battle by sub because he does take the back well. And I don't know. I just don't really like what I've seen from Gore as far as like winning minutes. I mean, he has a leg kick and he has some power, but it's nothing too crazy. I don't know. I just really don't love him. I really thought I was going to like a lot more of what I saw from him on tape, but I really did not. I was kind of disappointed in what I saw. So yeah, I think Battle, at plus money, I think it's like plus 130 now. If you got plus 150 on Brian Battle, I think that is like a outstanding bet. And I know there's some people that got it. That is very impressive. But yeah, I think you should win minutes here to be honest. And I favor him in the grappling realm a pretty significant bit. I just don't like what I've seen from Gore there. And Gore just seems to kind of be, losing fights until he wins them. With his power, but like I said, Battle very tough, durable, has a great chin, so I don't see him getting KO'd here. Also, to what Gordo said before, he's been getting better fight to fight. I think you see genuine improvements from Brian Battle every single fight. I don't know, man. I think Battle's going to be a little bit tricky for Gore. Gore's also, his level of competition is not super great. If you go back even to like his regional scene on his amateurs, he's not fighting a super high level of competition. And you could probably say the same for Brian Battle, but, my counterpoint to that would be he has some UFC experience, right? He's fought in this octagon before, which is a huge plus. And Tresean Gore coming off the knee injury is a huge question mark. And, regardless of what you think about that injury, it definitely doesn't favor Gore, right? So it could be a huge, plus for Battle, right? If Gore comes in there with a knee injury that's still kind of lingering. But regardless of what you think about it, it definitely doesn't help Tresean Gore, right? So, I don't know. I lean Battle at the current price. I think this fight's going to be close, though. I could see, Gore landing the cleaner, more powerful shots, Battle winning minutes. And I think if it hits the mat, I favor Battle pretty significantly to take the back at some point and just kind of outlast Gore and be there in the later rounds. So I'm not going to go about this forever, but I think Battle's the side.
Hey, you're right. It is definitely a fight breakdown. If I was doing this, which I did, without taking the fight into context with Brian Battle's last fight, I'd be all over Gore here, and I was. I bet Gore pre-tape just based on my past recollection, and I did the tape, and Battle's working hard. He's got motivation, and he's grinding, and he's improving fight to fight. For that reason, I'm kind of scared now if I take it. I do have a bet on Gore. Do I recommend it now? Not so much, especially as the line gets wider. I have minus 130, and I do like that, but it's still one of these ones where you always want to bet on the fighter that's improving, and I do think that Battle is that fighter here. Liam, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I basically think, I get it if you wanted to play Gore at minus 130, but I do think that anything over minus 150 is something I would not touch. That seems like a good hinge point for this matchup, minus 130, plus 130. I would play anything probably above plus 130 on Battle if pushed. But my problem is I wanted to get the apex of the number. I'm pissed I missed plus 145. And, I'm kind of hopeful that the late action that we see from the public will be on the Gore side here, because Gore was the, odds-on favorite on the show to win the belt at the end, or to win the show at the end. I think that might push public action towards him later in the week. But I also think that the sharp action has already made itself clear that it's going to gobble that up if and when it presents itself. So I'm interested to get involved, but I'm probably just going to wait and see what happens with the number. I've also considered parlaying battle, to try and find somebody else that I think has an edge, but not a huge edge on the line, and put them together. So I think I might have some ideas in mind.
Who, Gelton Almeida?
In your dreams, brother.
Yeah, I know. I just want the validation. I think it's going to be a good scrap. I'm excited to see how it is. To a DraftKings standpoint, I do think Battle's a better option here. You can say that Gore's path to victory is probably that power and that knockout, but he doesn't throw enough volume for me to want to play him consistently in lineup. So I got my bet on Gore. I'm cheering for him, but I maybe just gauge and see where they are, because Battle's hungry, like I said. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Let's move right along to a fight I want to spend even less time on. Sam Alvey, 33-16-1 or 0-6-1 in his past 7, and Brendan Allen, 17-5. That highlighted all you got to know. You got Brendan Allen, a guy who's much better credentially, but is coming off a very bad knockout loss to Chris Curtis, and a guy in Sam Alvey who a lot of people don't think should be in the UFC anymore. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to get my breakdown out of the way right now. Allen should win, but he did not look great today. And the fact that Sam Alvey is plus 800 to finish the fight, a bit absurd. I think that Alvey's only path to victory is a lucky counter hook, which is all he throws in the first place. So for that reason, I'm going to have 0.2 units on Alvey by KO, just because it's a small shot. But in all likelihood, Allen should dominate this fight. Liam, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree here. I think that Allen looked like shit. His interview sounded like shit. It seemed to me like he's here for money. I'm just trying to call it like I see it. It seems like he wasn't training for this fight. He is coming off the couch. I think he did 1 week at Sanford or something to help a couple guys get ready, he said. But otherwise, he wasn't training. He looks like he's out of shape. The fight's at 205, which I think benefits Alvey. The last time we saw Allen at a 195-pound catch weight, he absorbed 100 significant strikes from Sean Strickland in 7 minutes. He looked slower, and he looked like he was starting to have some cardio deficits there, and he just got overwhelmed with volume. I think that he still had to cut weight from what I heard in his interviews. He was 210 plus and cut down to 205. So he looks like crap, and he still had to cut a tiny bit of weight. I don't like any of it for him. On top of that, his best skills are in the grappling. He doesn't push the grappling as proactively as he should. And if he does try to proactively grapple, now he ironically has one of the better anti-grapplers who accomplishes very little on the feet. Alvey is like a leg kick and a lead hook, but that might just be enough in this matchup. It was a lead hook from Curtis, I believe, that also did some damage to Brendan Allen. Granted, it came behind a body shot that you won't see on the setup from Sam Alvey, but Sam Alvey's pretty clever with that lead hook, and I've bet him in the past to no avail, but it turns out Turman is a little bit more durable when he's not fighting Bruno Blindado Silva. Obviously lost to Andrew Sanchez as well, but you know what I mean. And I think that this is the kind of fight where, man, I have no idea how people are laying the minus 400 on Allen here. I feel like he's a banana peel fighter. I've told you guys that before. I think that, for all the things he does well, people had him at pick'ems last time with Puna, and now it's like he's minus 400 against somebody who's been in the UFC like as long as Puna's been fighting. It's like, what? I don't get it. I think that Alvey is not a great fighter, certainly not at this point in his career, but he looked better on the scale. He really did. And I actually think that, he's a live underdog at plus 380. I think that's a little bit wide. even on the money line. I know that everybody likes the inside the distance or the KO line. Actually, everybody's talking about the KO line, and fuck the KO line. Bet365's got the inside the distance plus 800. So your boy scooped a little bit of that. And I also am on the Alvey money line here at plus 380. Neither one of those shots are greater than half a unit. They're small bets on both, but I just think that it's very possible he knocks him out, and I'm going to feel like a dumbass if I don't have money on it. So, yeah.
Hey man, I'm just ready to hear Chance say he's gonna block us for that. Chance.
I know. Here it comes.
Dude, this is bad. This is really bad. Wow. Dude. All right. Okay. All right. First, I'll address the scale issue. I don't take that into account at all. I really don't take account like medical, like injuries and stuff like that. I don't account for those at all when I do my handicapping. So I'll say that up front, because I feel like when you do that, you have to assert like a certain percentage of like how much it matters when factoring it into the line, and I don't want to have to do that every time someone gets injured. So I just immediately that's off the table. So yeah, I think Alvey's horrible. He backs up against the cage constantly, just hoping to land a left hook off his back foot, which is honestly kind of snappy and kind of sharp. But also, the later the fight goes, it gets a bit more telegraphed. And Allen is someone who I think is actually a pretty good fighter. I think he's a pretty, high level guy. He does have chin issues and is sometimes like a dumbass. But here's the deal. He's better than Alvey anywhere this fight goes. He's 100% the better fighter. Could he get clipped? Sure. I guess it's live, possibly. But I think he could stay at range here and pick Alvey apart. And I think he can make this look very, very easy. I think he could also take down Alvey and just kind of cage push him for a while. I think that's also a possibility. 130-27. I think either way, I think he absolutely rolls over Alvey. I will say, I put a tweet out earlier saying that if you're betting Alvey money, I'm going to block you. And I have blocked a couple of people. But I will say, the main reason I tweeted that is because I think his inside the distance or KO, like at ITD at Bet365 is plus 800. I don't understand why you would not bet that and just bet Alvey money line. Like Liam taking KO and some of the money line, that makes sense. Like I can get on board with that. But what I cannot get on board with is people that are just betting Alvey money line. That just seems absolutely wild to me. I don't think this line, money line wise, is too wide, to be honest. I get that people don't like laying minus 400. And maybe that's playing into it a bit. It's like, oh, I could never lay minus 400, so this looks wide. But it's not wide. He's gonna win anywhere the fight goes. The chance that Alvey has one
round 3, Sam Alvey, bro. Fucking this guy is going to cardio dump off a fucking cliff. That's fine. Brendan Allen is going to cardio dump off a cliff, brother.
That's totally fine.
As a minus 400, you're comfortable with that? Golly, I'm not.
Dude, here's the thing. That's a fair take. And that line probably has value. But what doesn't have value is the money line, in my opinion. Like, I just think there's better ways to attack this fight than betting Alvey money line. Like what I'm saying is what you did is fine by also taking KO. Like I get that. Like or ITD. That makes sense. That's a ton of value there. But I just think I think it's kind of wishful thinking, thinking Alvey's going to land this shot on someone who's much better, technically speaking. I just don't see it. I think he could stick on the outside and just leg kick Alvey to death if he wanted to. We've seen his leg kicks kind of sharpen up here in the past couple fights. I think they're a bit better than they were, earlier on in his career. That's a part of his game I've seen improve, and I think it's going to be live here. Liam may argue that leaves you susceptible to that left hand, which is also possible too. But I don't know, man. You're giving me a fighter who has not won a lot of fights.
Dude, he lost a split and a split draw to Daun Jung and freaking Ryan Spann in 2020. Like, it wasn't ancient history. And those guys, he rocked them and hurt them. And they are actually somewhat durable fighters. I mean, granted, I know Span's not, but we can move on from this fight. It's not essential, but I just think that I can never back Brendan Allen as a minus 500 in the UFC, and he has slipped on this banana peel before. That's all I'll say. Against all the teammates of this guy.
I would like to add, I'm not like betting Brendan Allen. Or not yet. I haven't bet him yet, but I'm just saying dude. If you like the Alvey side, you have to bet the ITD or the KO line. Do not just bet his money line. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to just bet the money line. I think splitting it up is not a terrible idea. Like, that makes sense to me. So yeah, I mean, Liam makes good points, but Liam would also agree with me saying that Allen's the better fighter than Alvey. That's just the same. I mean, he is better.
100%, dude. At 85, I actually thought that this was a worse look, but I'm like, yo, like at 205, that's when we saw Alvey hit people with power and not completely gas. I was like, yes, 100% yes. Move it to 205. Get the guy fat as hell, please. He'll gas out faster. He really will. Dude, I feel like Brendan Allen's cardio is a real question mark coming into this fight. When you're not training, the difference is categorical to when you are training, and it's so hard to get back. 1 week in the training room isn't going to do jack shit if you took a month off, and he is going to be fucked in the second and third round, in my opinion.
Dude, I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I get that. And this last thing I'll say, Alvey's not going to push the pace, though. Like, I'm not worried about, like Strickland pushes the pace. Like, later the fight goes.
I know Allen will. He's going to push the pace that he can't sustain. That's really how I feel.
If he pushes the pace, I think he gets Alvey out of there, though.
That's his path. But if he doesn't hit his win condition, he's going to then look like a plus 200 and fall off a cliff, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, yeah, you guys can handle this one. This is one where it's Sam Alvey fight, and we can say the same thing over and over again. He could knock him out with that counter left hook. He could. Will he? Who knows? I think plus 800 is a little wide for that because of the cardio dump and stuff. By the way, Alvey round 3 plus 3,300, just in case you guys are wondering what that line was. But again, I don't know how much money I want to have on Sam Alvey. It's a tough one. Allen's a better fighter. I've backed him in the past. I like the guy, but he doesn't look good. Doesn't look like his head's in the right place right here. And you know what? Who knows what could happen, right? We could slip him a banana peel. All right, Liam, this is going to be track then Bayas.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. All of it?
Both, yeah. Alvey moneyline, Alvey ITD will be on my final slate. As fucking stupid as I'm gonna look, if it doesn't come through and I bet on Sam Alvey like 3 times in a row to fucking just burn money with my money burning machine, but I'm doing it.
Okay. All right. Hey, I don't know if I want to become a millionaire or not, but if I get an extra $1.50 line in my account, I'm gonna put the round 3 prop. I don't care. I'll parlay that with some Gelton Almeida just to piss you off, Liam. All right. Next up, we got a couple more left. This is the one that people are looking for. The people's main event. Shavkat Rakhmonov, 14-0, undefeated. Carlston Harris, 17-4. This is a fun one. This is a banger. This is one that a lot of people got talking about. 100% finish rate on the side of Shavkat Rakhmonov. And then you got a guy push the pace, look to have some really good skills, and is flying under the radar on Carlston Harris. I've seen a lot of love for Carlston Harris. Chance, started with you. What side are you on this one?
Dude, I really don't know yet. I've been kind of staring at this fight a good bit. I'm really high on Shavkat, at least long term. But this is a tough fight. Like, Carlston Harris is not a bad UFC fighter at all. He's tricky on the feet. He has a kind of unique submission game. And he's just like going to be a tough fighter for anyone to fight. You know what I mean? Just the weird style he brings. So Shavkat should be better everywhere. With that being said, technically speaking, I think he's very, very good. And I think he could be a contender at some point. This is just a weird fight. And I honestly know I've said this a lot this card. I think there's a couple spots that I'm going to go pretty big on. There's some props I do like, but overall, I don't love a lot of these like prices we're getting. At the current price, I think Carlston Harris is a good play. I think he's a good bet at plus 190, plus 200. I think it's a very good bet. I also think fight doesn't go minus 205 is a good bet as well. I know it's a bit juicy, or the unders too are also an option. I think unders, Carlson Harris, ITD is probably the look value wise, but I don't know. I really like the Shavkat kid. I think he's pretty good, especially long term. It's someone I'm going to be looking to back at some point.
All right. I like that. John saying Harris for the big bag. I mentioned in my DFS video, I think the problem I have here is his win criteria scores very, very well in DraftKings. I mean, he pushes a pace. He goes out there, he's relentless, good takedowns, decent ground game. I just think Fox is just too technical. I mean, we haven't seen him extended that long. He's got 100% finish rate, but from what we do see from him, he's technical and he's good. The thing is, he's been rocked, all right? Rakhmonov's been rocked if you watch the tape. So can Carlston execute that same game plan, get him out of there this time, or is Rakhmonov able to stay composed, stay technical, and win minutes? I think when it comes to finishing ability, it's going to be Harris pushing the pace, right? So is he able to sustain it? Is he able to do anything with that pace? I don't know. And it's one where I just want to sit back and enjoy. It's a weird one for me. I have no action on this one. I don't want any action. I'm going to have some DraftKings on it, but in terms of the betting side, I'm staying away from it. Harris looks like a bigger Alex Oliveira. That I'm going to disagree with. I think that Harris is much better than Alex Oliveira, especially at this day and age. I'll tell you that. Maybe looks like him a tiny bit, but no, not in my opinion. But yeah, I see it somewhat. Yeah, not a bad copy. He's more pro soccer, but obviously better. Yeah. I think he's had better, more experience. I think he's been there. He's done all that in the cage, and I like his style. It's a very, very entertaining style. He brings the pace, but it's a very, very tough task. This will really tell us where he is. And I like it because I think he's going to go overlooked, especially with that shiny 14-0 record of Rakhmonov. Liam, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'll try and keep this one brief because you guys hit on a lot of the good points. Harris has power in his hands. He's got a excellent front headlock submission game and a competent grappling game overall. His upper body wrestling is impressive. He's very strong and physical there. Shavkat has some deficiencies in terms of his upper body grappling, as far as I'm concerned. I think that he is obviously a pretty competent grappler on the ground. I don't think he's got a bad guard or anything, but I do think that Harris is a good transitional grappler. He's dangerous in every position. He's got a 7-3 record in decisions against a guy who's never been to decision. He's got more professional experience. He's just a little bit more tested, a little bit more known quantity. He's gone 5 rounds before as well for the Brave FC title, I believe it was. So the guy has just been all over the world fighting, tough level of competition, wins over UFC guys that you know. Like he's pretty well-rounded, and he's got early finishes both ways in the UFC. He's just very dangerous to be priced a plus 205 underdog, which is what I played him. Thought that was a crazy price. And I played him inside the distance at plus 375. That's also been hit down to the plus 333 range. And I think that, both of these guys have a path to the finish. Harris is not invincible on the feet. He's been knocked out before in Brave as well, but he is like fighting good guys. And so that's going to happen from time to time. It could happen here on Saturday, but I don't think it's priced appropriately. So I'm going to have to take a shot on the dog here again. And I also think his finishing upside is there. I've seen Shavkat do the chicken dance. I've seen him do a half a backflip from getting punched in the head before. He keeps his chin pretty high in the air. And I think that Carlston Harris, it's one thing to slip jabs, somebody's throwing something on a straight line, you move your head out of the way. It's a lot different when somebody goes, and just throws these hammers at you from every direction. It's like, where do you put your head? It's an open question. So I think that it's very possible that Carlston clubs and subs him, knocks him out. And I'm going to be on Carlston inside the distance. All
right. There you go. I like that one there. Again, like I said, staying off this one, but you guys have some very good opinions on that, and I hope to get some opinions on this next one too, because this is one where I got a few question marks. Punahele Soriano 8-1, Nick Maximoff 7-0, co-main event slot. Sure, I don't care about that as much as other people. All right, here's my thoughts on this one. I see a lot of people betting Maximoff, and for the reasons of his grappling upside, his durability, him going into the later rounds and pushing a pace on someone in Punahele Soriano who does tire out. I get it. What I don't get is the multiple unit plays of just full confidence, because what I do see in Punahele Soriano is a guy who's got insane power on the feet. I think if it comes to a striking exchange, Nick Maximoff, he's hand of the center line, and he's not very good defensively striking either. He doesn't like to be hit, even though he hasn't really been tested much. I think that on the feet, Puna all day. you can give the wrestling upside to Maximov because he is a very forward, aggressive wrestler, and I like that in a fighter. The problem is people, I think, are discrediting Puna's game too much. He's got a wrestling background, slight judo background as well, and I think he's able to hold his own. The problem I have here is if you're holding a Maximov ticket, I think you're sweating out that first round and the bit of the second because Puna looks good in the scales. He's a guy who has insane power in those early rounds. And if he keeps on the feet, there's no question that Punahele is a better striker. So it's going to be up to Maximov to completely neutralize that in the first round, take him down over and over, tire him out early, and maybe win late. And for that reason, I can't get behind betting Maximov because it's a lot of ifs. But this is one where I need you guys to either talk me down from the ledge or push me over into betting it. I'm so close to betting Soriano. I'm just seeing a lot of bets on him, so I'm waiting to pull the trigger. But I'd like to hear what you guys have to say on this one. Liam, we'll start with you. You got to give him the combo first, and then you can tell us what you think.
Come on now, the Carlston Harris special, baby. Don't you remember that in the Aguilera fight? That shit was money. But in terms of this fight that we are talking about, man, I think that Punahele Soriano, he's got the goods in the wrestling department. Once I did a little bit more investigating, I wrestled in D3, right? So I have a little bit of the insight into what the D3 wrestling landscape looks like. Don't worry, I was a shitty D3 wrestler, but I knew the good teams, and he wrestled for one of them. Wartburg and Augsburg are the two power programs in Iowa. That's where Punahele Soriano wrestled. So absolute stud. Not to be taken lightly. I believe he was an All-American as well. Aljamain Sterling is a D3 All-American. So before you guys want to go shit on all the D3 guys, it is very possible that guys, for a ton of different reasons, would go to a D3 school. Maybe they like to get down with that ganji, you know what I'm saying? But either way, I know that this is a guy who is, pretty battle-tested in a tough room. He's been wrestling for a while, and that's why his first-level reactions look very good. If you've ever seen him in the fights, when somebody shoots on him, he's got a good down block. He's got a good sprawl. He's got a good active, retreat. His footwork is pretty reliable to get himself hips away from somebody when they enter. Which hips back first is like the number one rule on takedown defense. So I think Puna does a lot of the right things. The problem is Maximov's one of those tricky guys who's going to be, just trying to drop down on the single leg consistently. I think Puna, if he's smart here, he's going to push away on the hips, punch the body, and make him pay when he does that. And I think that if he does that, Puna can run away with this fight down the stretch. I think on the feet, he's got a lot more tools, a lot more to offer. He's more dangerous. Sometimes he gets a little rote with his combinations. He likes to throw the lead left hook and the right hand behind it over and over and over again. But I do think that the more I watch it, he's really damn good at landing it and timing it. So I think he's going to be able to find opportunities here. I don't know that he's going to get Maximov out of there. We've never seen Maximov finished, so I don't want to get too much staked on him finishing this fight necessarily, but I do think that Puna has the tools to win this fight over the stretch as long as he stays defensively responsible in terms of his submission defense. But I thought he looked tremendous physically on the scales. He looks like he's a weight class above Maximov, in my opinion. Granted, Maximov's the one who's fought at light heavyweight and heavyweight in these things, but Puna looked tremendous, I thought, physically on the scale today. So I like a lot of what I've seen. Just to address what Mbe said in the chat, I heard Puna has health issues. I think what you're talking about is the fact he dealt with some concussion issues earlier in his career. He has been pretty good lately and been more active in the UFC of late as well. So I think that Puna just has proven a lot more at a higher level than somebody like Maximov in the spot. But, Maximov's kind of an unknown. He doesn't have a ton of striking footage. The guys he has struck on the feet with are pretty dog shit. Even the Contender Series fight, it's hard to know what to make of it because he was fighting a guy who is big and heavy and not great fight IQ. Pulled a guillotine at one point, which was just hysterically bad IQ. But I think that, Maximov, this guy, I just don't know that he's proven enough to be in a UFC co-main event. I think he's kind of had a little bit of a softer run up, and he looked good in his last fight, but I'm curious to see if he can keep that kind of result against somebody so physical and dynamic like Puna with a wrestling background of his own right. So I think Puna is probably going to find either a late finish or win this fight by decision. I think it's possibly nukes him in the first round if Maximov isn't getting takedowns. But, I think broadly speaking, Puna is just more likely to win this fight over the course of 15 minutes. I understand why he's the favorite, and I could see it being a little bit wider. I'm going to wait and see what happens with the number. This is, again, somebody that I did think about parlaying, but wasn't sure I was going to get there. Fuck that guy. I'll parlay it with Danilo Maia, baby. Let's go.
All right. I love the breakdown. That's music to my ears. Chance, what are your thoughts on it?
All right, this is how this fight's going to go. First round, Puna's going to win clearly, possibly a 10-8. Second round, Puna's going to start to gas. So half of MMA Twitter, 100% of MMA Twitter that bet Puna is going to say he won round 2. But the judges, we're going to have 2 judges say that Maximov won because he started coming on late, lands a takedown the latter half of the round. All right. But he really only wins a minute of the round, but it was the last minute of the round, which means more. So he's going to win round 2. Then round 3, he's going to take Puna down, submit him, okay, in round 3, plus 2,200. That's the play, okay, here from me. All right. And then all of MMA Twitter that bets Puna, because pretty much everyone I've seen has bet Puna, is going to say that it was value, and it probably was, but he's still going to lose. So Maximov round 3 sub plus 2,200, I think is a decent bet here. I get the takes on the Puna side, but that's generally just how I see this fight going. Puna should win round 1 at a pretty high clip. Maximov's super durable. So he also hasn't been hit by Puna, and I think Puna hits pretty fucking hard, to be real.
He hasn't been hit by anybody, really.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's also a fair point.
Oh, and it's not like that's something to be proud of either, because it's not like he looked great on the feet there. He has no head movement, and he just takes it, and he shells up, and
Listen.
That's just hysterical to me, though, Chance, because I looked at that exact same number last night, plus 2,400 on FanDuel. I was like, fuck, should I be playing this? And I'm on the Puna side. I was just like, that seems pretty damn wide for a guy who gets a little tired down the stretch.
I feel like if round 3 starts, that number is going to look like value at some point during that round. Because, Puna's first level of takedown defense is good. To Liam's point, his wrestling, if you go back and watch, we see it in fights here and there, and it looks pretty good. But I will say, like, in the fights that I've seen, you got to go back a little bit. But once it gets to the mat, once he's on his back, it doesn't look too great. I'm going to be real. So, yeah, that's a bit worrisome for me on the Puna side. I think the price isn't something I'm in love with. Money line wise for Maximov or Puna, but I think round 3 sub makes a lot of sense to me. So that's how I'm going to play it. And I'm serious. Puna will win round 1, and everyone on MMA Twitter is going to be feeling themselves and tweeting out the score of the round, right? Everyone's going to be doing, 10-9 Puna, 10-8 Puna. People who never tweet out the scores of the round are going to tweet that one out. And then round 2, it's going to start to be a little dicey. It's going to be kind of split. And round 3 is going to be all Maximov's. He's going to sub him. So Maximov, I will say his wrestling sucks. I would like to touch on that real quick. His wrestling is not good. His stand-up is not good. But I think at some point it's just going to get to the mat, probably in a sloppy way, just due to, Puna gassing pretty hard. Because Maximov will come forward and just eat fucking shots repeatedly. He's willing to do that. So yeah, either he dies or he subs him. I forgot to mention, I'm going to be on the under here, by the way. Sorry. I should have said that. I'm going to be on the under 2.5, or the fight doesn't go. I haven't pulled the trigger on one or the other. I haven't decided which one I'm going to pull the trigger on, but I think the unders are a great look here either way. And I think Maximov round 3 sub is a great look.
Okay, took me a while to find my unmute button there. Yeah, I did it. I played some Soriano. I have a problem. No, I actually did. That's the funny part too. Is I heard Liam, and obviously your opinion doesn't matter, right? So no, I'm kidding. I appreciate you guys both for that. This is one where I was so close to betting Soriano, and I think I'm just gonna do it. I have my idea of a bet. I've not locked it in yet, but yeah,
Dude,
like MBA.
Go for it. Real quick. This is a fire ass main event. Like, I know people are saying this main event or this co-main event sucks. Watch your fucking mouth, dude. This is fire. This like stylistic matchup is going to be very fun to watch. Like, whether we see a round 1 KO or like Puna gas super hard and Maximov just like submit him or like getting some crazy exchange, like even late, Puna's going to throw hard. So this is going to be a great fight to watch. Like the entertainment value for this fight is like through the roof, in my opinion.
I just don't see how Maximov can consistently get him down over and over and over again to the point where he tires out. I think if you're betting Maximov, you're hoping that Soriano punches himself out, really. And I don't know. I don't have enough faith in Maximov's ability to survive if he's not going for takedowns 24/7. And it's just all the signs are pointing me. And you know what? If my bet loses, I hope at least your plus 2,200 cashes. But I think Soriano rolls here. All right. With that, we are at our main event of the evening. Let's see. What time is it? 5:37. I still got time to lock in some NBA DraftKings lineups. All right. Last one. Sean Strickland, the man, the myth, the legend. 24-3. Jack Hermansson, 22-6. You know what? I'm a fan of this main event. I'm really excited for it. But if I'm being honest, I have no action on it. I have a lot of action on this card. On this fight, I have none because I see a lot of different possible outcomes. I know you guys are going to talk about your own, and for that reason, let me talk about it. One thing I'm going to mention first is the line's a little wide on DraftKings. Jack Hermansson's win equity and the way he wins fight scores is very, very high, and for that reason, I think he's a decent dog. However, Sean Strickland, volume, you cannot go wrong with him either. All right, Chance, we'll start with you. How do you see the main event?
Yeah, I think Strickland's gonna win. I'm not gonna blow anybody away here. This kind of seems like a square side this week. I've seen very few people on Hermansson. I'm not a fan of his stand-up, and I'm really not a huge fan of his wrestling game. And you know, there's kind of a question mark on the Strickland side grappling wise. But from what I've seen, from what I've heard, from people that are like semi close to him, he's apparently a pretty decent grappler. Pretty decent takedown defense, for what I've heard. And we all know if this fight stays on the feet, you have to favor pre-fight Strickland very heavily, right? I mean, it's a fist fight. Hermansson could land that punch and just shut his lights off. Obviously, that could happen. But this is a fight that we bet on before it takes place, right? So I favor Strickland pretty much everywhere here, to be honest. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up being the better grappler, like defensively, like if he was able to stifle all the takedowns, possibly reverse position. It really honestly wouldn't shock me. I don't rate Hermansson high at all. I know there's a lot of people I've seen on Twitter that rate him pretty highly just as an MMA fighter in general. And that I'm not one of those people. I think Uriah Hall had some decent moments there in that fight when he was willing to kind of come forward and kind of eat some shots from Strickland and throw some heat. But I don't think Hermansson's that guy. I don't think he's willing to do that. So yeah, I mean, maybe Hermansson wins round 1 if he can get a takedown. But I don't know, man. I'm really not in love with his wrestling. I don't think it's super high level. I'm gonna be on the Strickland side here, money line wise. And I would recommend anyone looking to play this fight. I would not bet the props, to be honest with you. I would just lay it on Strickland. Minus 200 is really not that. I mean, he's a decent size favorite, but it's nothing too crazy. I would not try to get cute here with a knockout or a decision prop. I think both are going to be pretty live. The only props I would really consider is maybe Strickland like round 4, round 5. Hermansson's cardio is a bit suspect, so maybe you look there. But I don't know. I'm not a fan of the KO line. I'm not a fan of the decision line, really. So yeah, I think Strickland, maybe play him late small. I think that's a good fight, good play here.
Fair. I respect your opinion on that one. Liam, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I thought I saw a decent number of people taking the dog shot on Hermansson here, especially early in the week on Twitter. But yeah, I like Sean Strickland outright in this matchup as well. Jack Hermansson is somebody I bet on in his last fight against Edmund Shabazian. I thought that would be a very winnable fight for him. And I actually thought he made it a lot harder than he needed to. I think he had a very hard time wrestling Edmund early, which stunned me. But he was at an athletic disadvantage, which is a theme throughout his career. You know, Jack is not the best athlete. He's got nice looking muscles, but I don't think that he has the most functional athleticism. that we've seen in the UFC. We've seen him get injured in more than one fight as well, variety of different ways. He's been in a lot of blood and guts type wars. Not as many one-sided ass kickings as somebody like Sean Strickland has dealt out. But in fairness, Sean always likes to get hit a little bit in his fights as well. He's not the most defensively responsible guy in the world. So it becomes harder and harder to lay like huge amounts of chalk on Sean. But I do think that in his recent run, he's looked excellent. I think that when you look back at Sean's history, I kind of was surprised that he went down to 170, looking back retrospectively at his career. But I think that the answer for why he did that is because look at the fucking massive guys he fought. Luke Barnett is like one of the biggest middleweights in UFC middleweight history. So he fought these like two big ass dudes at middleweight. And he's like, yeah, maybe this isn't for me. I'm going to go down. But then he ends up fighting Santiago Ponzinibbio, Easy Dos Santos, and Kamaru Usman, like three of the toughest guys that he could have been booked with at 170 pounds. And the Easy Dos fight didn't really play out. He got spinning head kicked instantly, which could happen to anybody. They got caught cold. And Sean keeping his hands down a little bit by his chest would concern me more if he was facing like a big high kick threat. I actually bet Uriah Hall by knockout small in their last fight because I was like, if anybody's going to throw a spinning head kick at Sean, it's going to be Uriah. And I know that Sean doesn't move his head very often. But I don't think Jack has a tremendous amount of power. I think that Jack is mostly a volume guy, a leg kick guy. Most of the knockouts that he's had in his career, he got from the top position. He's hurt a couple guys on the feet with volume, including Jacare Souza, but I think that was more of evidence that Jacare was on the way out. By the way, he landed 249 strikes on a 39-year-old Jacare and didn't get the finish. So I think that people, might be overrating the power just a little bit on the Jack Hermansson side. I think that his submission game is high level, right? We've seen him submit black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu multiple times in the UFC, guys I respect like GM3, like David Branch. But I also think that the problem here for Jack is that, he's caught a lot of guys sleeping in transitions, guys that don't train a lot of grappling like Kelvin Gastelum, got caught in that leg lock series instantly, literally had no idea what to do. You could see it on his face. Kelvin was like, do I kick him in the butt? Like he just was thinking his way through that position, whereas Jack was flowing naturally. And I think that if Jack gets into leg exchanges and things like that early, that's his path to winning this fight. Taking the back of Sean Strickland is a path to winning this fight. We saw that against Andy Varela. He just gave his back pretty casually. He's a little bit cavalier sometimes in his positioning. But I think Sean Strickland on the feet walks this guy down behind a jab at a pretty high clip. Jack Hermansson just is awkward when he's striking. He doesn't like getting hit, in my opinion. He backs up at times when he feels pressure, and he has to like talk himself into staying in the pocket. And when he does that, he becomes very reactive, and I think it leaves openings for him to get clipped on the chin. So I think Strickland by decision makes some sense, but I see, some casual books like FanDuel are boosting it, which gives me great concern. I predicted a 5th round knockout for Sean Strickland in my Roto Grinders article today. You can check that out on my Twitter if you're interested in my full breakdown. But yeah, I think broadly speaking, this is a fight that favors Sean Strickland in the shape of the fight. I think Jack's going to have to spend a lot of energy early to try and get him out of there and get on top. And I think if he doesn't do that, it's going to turn into a similar fight to the Vettori fight where he gets walked around the octagon, broadly speaking. And I think Sean's defensive grappling is on par with Vettori. We're just going to have to find out if his chin and his cardio hold up over the 5 rounds here at 185 pounds. It did last time, but it's a new challenge here. So I think that this is a good fight, competitive fight. I don't think either guy's a walkover. If you play Jack by sub, I understand where you're coming from. And the Jack money line at plus 195, I mean, I get it, but I'm a guy that likes to play those main event dog shots, and I'm passing on this one because I don't think he's going to win the fight. So I think Sean Strickland's the meaner, batter dude at the end of the day. And I think that Jack Hermansson, admirable, like courage, heart. He's come back from adversity before, but he's also not the best defensive grappler in his own right. I think Chance hit the nail on the head that Sean Strickland might be the one on top in this fight, passing guard and doing things like that. And I think that would take some people by surprise, but I also think Sean might try and send a message by doing that because I think he is like primed to be a contender in the division. You don't have to like him personally. I don't care for his personality, but I think that Sean Strickland is a dangerous fighter, and he's been on a championship trajectory for a long time. If you look back at his early career, people weren't talking about him like some bum. There's a reason he got those big fights that he got. He lost a couple of them cleanly, but they were against the best guys at welterweight. Now he's the faster guy. Now he's the seasoned vet. Now he's grown up in the UFC, been here since 2014. By the way, Jack is older, got to the organization in 2016. So I think there's a lot of good work behind Sean Strickland. And in fact, a lot of jiu-jitsu as well in his past. His early fights, he was billed as a jiu-jitsu fighter. So I think that this is going to be a fight that Sean Strickland wins more often than not. I like the favorite.
Much respect. And with that, guys, I don't got much to add. This is one where I'm a fan of Sean Strickland. I think he's an entertainer. A bit of a creepy one, but a psychopath. But you know what? He's fun to watch. Great combination of the feet. He's not scared to get in a brawl. And I like his odds here. He's a guy who's got good volume, good output, and his style wins fights as long as he's not taken down or no one's matching him like that. The problem I have with this one is Hermansson's a guy who is able to take him down. But there's so many ifs. If he's able to take him down, if he's able to get on top, if he's able to stay on top, if he's able to keep the cardio up, if he's able to survive the pace, the output. Too many ifs. I am passing. The one bet I do like is Sean Strickland, 4-5 decision. I think someone mentioned it was on Bovada, plus 125. That is an amazing line. If I had access to that book, or if I was on that book, I'd hit that. I don't mind that. However, when it comes to DraftKings, I think Hermansson's upside is there. I think he scores really high. However, I do think Strickland's floor is there. So it's a tough one. It's one to pass. One last tidbit of advice is we're in 2022, and main and title fights, all underdogs have won so far. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Jack Hermansson continues that. I don't know. With that, we are done the Vegas 47 UFC, DraftKings, and DFS breakdown. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's been a lot of pleasure to be joined by you two absolute beauties. It's been a fun one. It's a really, really exciting card. I am super hyped to watch it. On that note, after these guys tell you where to find them, you can go check out my DFS video. I broke it down. I had a lot of fun editing it too. I think it's a pretty entertaining video, if I do say so myself. But no, I'm super excited for this card tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, you know where to find me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. Ask me any questions you like. Everyone in my Iron Man, make sure to enter your lineup. Come on, guys. And with that, guys, let them know where they can find you. Liam, how do they come in contact and support your absolute beauty of a page?
Appreciate you, my man. Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking fights with you guys. I think that we've got a great card ahead of us. I'm not on very many of the favorites here. I think a lot of underdogs have a good chance. And a lot of people think that's the case in the main event as well. So I think there should be some upsets, some intrigue, a lot to look forward to next week. I think that, you know, if you want to find anything that I'm working on, rotogrinders.com, I'm doing written work for them. You can find my official pick, scoresandodds.com, where I'm trying to be pretty thoughtful about the unit sizing and things like that when I give those plays. Then you can find me on betmma.tips, LiamPicksFights. You can find me everywhere, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Appreciate you guys' support. I did a full breakdown myself with Notorious and Prodigy MMA. Just so you guys know, Prodigy is 2-0 as a guest on my show. Never had a losing week. And by the way, he's on that Sam Alvey money line. Let's roll.
Does that mean that Chance has to block him now, or what's happening there?
Yes, Chance, you'll be blocking Prodigy after the show.
All right. Well, before I let Chance tell you where they find you, I just want to say congratulations on your win last weekend, man. Liam, you had an amazing couple of fights. I really enjoyed watching them, so congrats on the win. You are an absolute killer, man.
Thank you, brother. Got to get back to work. That's all I got to say. One win is not enough.
Perfect. Well, I enjoyed watching it. I can't wait to watch the next one. Chance, where can they find you?
At ChanceWagers on Twitter. If you're watching this, you probably already follow me or chose not to follow me actively, which is fair. Yeah, dude, this show's pretty fun to do. I feel like we're getting more chemistry the more we go on. I feel like if you go back and watch like our first one, like I feel like we're getting pretty good at this shit. So, yeah, dude, I think tomorrow's card's gonna be a good one. So, best of luck to everybody betting on it, and fuck everyone who's betting Sam Alvey money line only. Like,
hey.
I understand the KO,
Like it makes sense, but why? Like, he just doesn't win minutes, but what the fuck ever. And if you're saying, oh, he's gonna win minutes because he's gonna knock him down so many times, then you should be playing KO. Like, what the fuck is going on? But that's it. That's all I got.
All right, bro. One last question for you. We getting a camera anytime in here for you, or do I look at the pain of Calvin Kattar beating Gigachkowski?
When I hit like a decent following, dude, I will absolutely, bro. It's just a pain in the ass because most of the times I'm in my car or some shit or on the move.
All right. Much respect, man. I can't wait for that time. And with that closes out the breakdown. If anybody watching it live, I appreciate you guys. Make sure to check out that DFS video. And everybody who's going back and watching it, you can watch that DFS video too. It's a banger. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Have some fun. Good luck betting tomorrow. Like I said, DM on Twitter if you got any questions, and let's make some money. Let's go, Gelton.